vacating wins. Welcome to the College Football Show. It's your boy, George Wrighster. We got a lot to talk about today. So, Gunner Rivers, son of Phillip Rivers, he commits to NC State, and it ignites a major beef between On3 / Rivals and 247 Sports about what should have been a great story about a NFL father. Phillip Rivers just played in the league this year. And then that turned into a war of words between some very powerful companies and some very powerful people. We got to talk about Jacoby Lane and what happened with his locker getting raided. And then somebody had the nerve to try to defend it and be like, all players steal. I got to give you a story about when I went to USC for a game. Something like this happened, and we got frisked. That's all I'm gonna give you up front. Donald Trump went on Josh Pate's show, actually called him to get on the show, and the interview that Josh ended up getting a lot of hate for turned out to be a total dud. And I'm gonna explain to you how I would have handled it and what my real reaction is to it, because I'm college football's honesty broker, and I have to tell you the truth. I'm going to give you my top 10 coaches in college football list. Some people aren't going to be real happy about it, but you know what? The truth must be told. And then also, I got to give you my enforcement for college football and how we do it, and also the best thing that I have seen all year from these college football coaches, and that's up next. I'm George Wrighster. Make sure that you like, share, subscribe, tell a friend about the show, and most importantly, share. Now it is top 10. All right, let's get to it. Like I already told you, like, share, subscribe, tell a friend about the show, everything else. Let's get into it. So, we are going to start with what was supposed to be a great day, what was supposed to be a memorable moment for a family, Phillip Rivers and his family. It turned into a war of words about college football recruiting. So, Gunner Rivers committed to NC State, where Phillip Rivers played. So he's a 2027 quarterback out of Michael Catholic in Alabama. The kid already has 111 touchdown passes, 10,000 yards thrown for, and everything else. Dad is the coach, plays 4A, which is mid-level competition in Alabama. According to 247, this kid's the number 6 quarterback in 2027 and a 4-star. And then on Rivals, which is owned by On3, he's the number 27 quarterback in the country and a 3-star. Now, this has sparked all sorts of debate because recruiting rankings have always been a thing. They have always been a thing for people. They get upset about it, they get frustrated with it, and I understand. As a parent, I 100% feel you, lived it myself, right? So, here is the way the ratings, let me explain the ratings to you. So, a 5-star quarterback, a 5-star player, mind you, there are only 32 5-stars. A 5-star is projected to be a first-round pick in the NFL draft. A 4-star is projected to be an NFL pick and a Power 4 all-conference player. And a 3-star is an eventual Power 4 starter or a G5 all-conference player. That's what that's supposed to mean, okay? The way you fully understand what it all means. And then the portal, it actually makes high school rankings a little less important as far as its need for an industry comparison, but extremely important when it comes to building personal hype. Now, remember, your rankings also help determine your NIL and everything else. It's just the truth. It's just how it works out. Now, you got a small school in the South that has a legacy last name in Phillip Rivers. That didn't, that same situation, it didn't hurt Arch Manning, who was unanimously highly ranked and a lot of people had as the number one player in the country. But in the case of Rivers, we have one of the largest evaluation gaps between two of the giants because nobody really pays attention to ESPN's rankings because they just don't have the same bandwidth and they're paying more attention to professional sports and actual college sports as well. Now, how this beef all started is that you had a publisher for NC State named Corey Smith, and he said that the reason Rivers dropped in the composite rankings after committing to NC State was because Rivers was because he committed to NC State, so they dropped him. So, and here are the tweets to show you exactly what happened. Because um so you had the head of On3 and Rivals, Shannon Terry, who is a legendary builder of these sorts of sites. He tweeted and he defended it. He was like, "Yo, if you don't like it, then just drop us out of the composite rankings." But here's the actual truth: is that Rivals had a scheduled update. Mind you, the rankings are already done, graphics are already done. They just so happen to have a ratings update that so coincided with when this kid announced his announcement. And then you had the VP of 247, Adam Stanko. He weighed in and he said, quote, "We prioritize our own rankings because our national team meticulously evaluates year round. Players don't move based on offers or commitments. Evaluation is the only driver of movement. Always." Okay. So that is not exactly true. And when I say this, I mean this with all due respect to all the people that do all the rankings and everything else. I don't believe people are out there taking money to change rankings in the aggregate, right? Of course, there's bad, people who aren't doing exactly what they're supposed to do, but I believe in general people are doing the right things. The issue is this: you have millions of high school football players, over a million by far. There is a 0% chance that they can evaluate everybody. So you have, 20, 30, 40, 50 people evaluating a ton of kids. So there are plenty of kids that don't get the looks that they need to. And this is how you end up with 3-star guys well outperforming 5-star guys. You're trying to project growth. You don't know that a 3-star guy hadn't hit his growth spurt yet, and then he ends up, more physically developed than even the 5-star guy, which looked like, Tarzan in high school, and then didn't develop anymore. So, and as a player who, as somebody who had my kid go through this same situation, I get it for a parents because on one hand, you're like, I know my kid's better than that kid, but your situation also matters. And these are subjective rankings. Now, why do the rankings matter and why do all these things matter in general? Because you'll have people tell you rankings don't matter. Yes, they do. They don't matter in terms of when you get on the field, but they do matter in you being able to get on the field. I have talked to coaches, I have talked to former player personnel people and former scouts in college. And when they're sitting in these meetings, there are some coaches, they will ask this question. They'll put on a film of a kid and they'll be like, "Yo, I like that kid. Who's offered them already?" That question should not even matter if until after. The first question that should matter is, and any coach who says who has offered him already before of a kid that they like, before they make a decision on whether they want to offer them or not, they're doing the job wrong. If you are doing the job right, if you say, if you're giving an honest evaluation, you're like, "Yo, that kid can play at our school." If so, then give them an offer. But too often, coaches will say, "Well, who's offering them already?" Let's say, and I'm not using this as an example of somebody who has done this. I'm using this as a name, the way you understand a level of school. Let's say it's a Tennessee the Tennessee Volunteers. Coach says, "Oh well, man, we like this quarterback. Who's offered him already? Nobody. Uh, we'll keep tabs on him. Another quarterback. He's okay. Who's offered him? Wake Forest, UNLV, Minnesota. Ooh, okay, okay. Give him a little bit of love. Next quarterback up. I don't know if he's that great. All right, who's offered him? NC State, Alabama, Texas. Damn, we can't miss out. Maybe there's something that we're not seeing. Maybe this is, not the way that we're not looking at this right. That's the issue. That's the issue right there. This is the same reason why Bill Moose hired Scott Frost, knowing that he was not the right coach for Nebraska. So if you're looking at your head coach, you need to be able to ask him, are you evaluating based upon, are you playing out of scarcity, or are you looking at the tape saying, yeah, that kid can play for us, or no, he can't, despite what the rankings say? I think that that is highly important and what you should be looking for out of your head coach. And this is why some coaches are able to do a lot with 3 stars and some are not able to do a lot with 5 stars, because some of them are recruiting off lists and they don't want to miss. They're like, we'll take a chance on this kid. He's so highly ranked. We must have missed something. No, you didn't. Trust your system. Trust your beliefs. Stand on business. All right. The next thing that we got to talk about. Oh my God, there was more drama. This drama happened over at USC, and this involves Jacoby Lane. Now you can see the kid's name here, but I'm not going to mention the kid's name because the story is the story. So Jacoby Lane tweeted out, and he made massive waves saying that somebody stole things out of his locker. Now, Jacoby Lane, USC wide receiver, he's headed to the NFL after 3 years at USC. Now, he tweeted about a recruit out of Utah. He said, quote, "This kid stole my cleats and a bunch of stuff from the SC locker room." Now, this is a damning accusation. And he posted the picture. You see pictures here. You see gloves, you see cleats, you see towels, everything else. Now, the one thing that gave this credence, obviously, Jacoby Lane's not going to say that somebody stole something and nobody stole anything. But in this pile of cleats, there's a pair of cleats that I promise you Jacoby Lane would not have given away. And that is a pair of the USC Kobe cleats. Those are hard to come by. Only USC got them. And not even everybody on USC's team got them. So Jacoby Lane is not going to want somebody to have those cleats. He absolutely would have kept those cleats. Now, Jacoby Lane blew the lid off of something that has been going on forever. And it's actually annoying, but it's an accepted part of the culture of hosting recruits. Recruits, sometimes when they're going through locker rooms and all this stuff, and remember, not everybody that goes through that locker room that's a quote unquote recruit. Because remember, 7-on-7 teams will come through in mass. So you'll have, on a tournament, like if you're at Arizona State and it's a big tournament down there in Phoenix, you may have 10 7-on-7 teams come through Arizona State. They'll take them in the locker room, everything. And the issue is this, is that if a locker is open or anything, not all of those kids are getting recruited by ASU. There's 1 or 2 kids on the whole 7-on-7 team that ASU may be interested in, or Oregon or Michigan or whatever other school it is. Only a couple of the kids are actually interested in. And those kids, if they want some cleats, they want some gloves, they want some towels, they can just ask somebody, be like, "Hey, yo, I need some, can you give me some uh, ASU swag, some USC swag, some Oregon swag, some Alabama swag," and they're gonna get it. So you don't have to steal anything. But there has been for a long time, and why a lot of these locker rooms have these state of the art lockers where there are digital codes, there's everything else. And you guys hop in the comments and tell me, have y'all ever stolen anything out of somebody's locker room? And if you have, tell me how that worked. How you felt about yourself? Because I've never done it. I've never done it. My kid has never done it because I've been on a lot of the trips with him. If he ever wanted anything, he just asked and they gave it to him. So is Jacoby Lane, is he lame for blowing off the lid off the operation that, that prospects have been benefiting from for years? And then there was pushback from a Houston DB, a former Houston DB named Jace Rogers. And he tweeted, quote, "You might be the first person in the history to post something like this. When you were in this position, you did the same thing we all did. That's lame." I don't believe that. Stealing is stealing. You can't take something from somebody's locker. Players will give it to you. I remember when I was coming out, I got stuff from players. I would just ask for it. And then a lot of these kids know players at these schools. They'll just ask the big homie for it. Hey, yo, can I get a towel? Can I get some gloves? Because they come a dime a dozen. They can get a new pair of gloves. They can get that. It's no problem. So I don't understand why this is trying to normalize stealing from other people because this makes zero sense to me. I hated it from a jump. I thought it was a bad idea. But apparently people want to normalize this sort of thing. Now that brought me to what happened when I was in high school. Story time, people. I should have a pipe that I pull out like, okay, so it's story time. When I was getting recruited out of high school. Now, mind you, at that point in time, USC was not good, right? So any of the USC fans on here, first of all, like, share, subscribe, tell a friend about the show. Any USC fan, oh, you're mad they didn't recruit you. No, I had no interest in going to USC. But anyways, I go to a USC game in I think it was my junior year. So this would have been 1998. Actually, excuse me, 1997. It was either 97 or 98. I go to this game at the Coliseum. We go into the locker room after the game. And now, mind you, gloves were not as plentiful as they are now. They'd be a little more tight-lipped with the gloves, and they weren't the color gloves. They were all the gray gloves. That was when they had changed everybody in college football. Everybody had to wear gray gloves. So go in the locker room. We're getting ready to leave out of the locker room. It's me, 10, 15 other high school kids in the locker room, and then we're getting ready to leave out. They stop us on the way out, and they're like, somebody took a pair of gloves out of a player's locker. One pair of gloves, like, that's odd, that's weird. And so they frisked us. They literally frisked us from top to bottom before you could get out of the locker room to make sure that you did not have said pair of gloves. And I was like, this is the kind of thing we doing around here at USC? I don't want to go here. I didn't want to go here anyway. I damn sure don't want to go here now. And now, mind you, these are the sorts of small negative interactions that do impact recruiting decisions. And yes, USC would have been happy to have me. Because yes, all conference tight end goes to NFL. Yes, so miss me, you USC fans who think you're too good. But these are the sorts of things that ignite it. And you can't be stealing from people when you can just ask. This is stupid. And Jacoby Lane is not lame. If you steal my stuff, you should be able to point that out. And then the other thing is, if I were a head coach in college football, I'm having a zero tolerance policy for theft. I don't care if you are the number one recruit in the nation. I don't care if you're on my team already. Theft will get you up out of here because it's got to be a safe space in the locker room for you to be able to do your thing and everything else. I'm not with that at all. All right. Next thing up, boy, oh boy, did Josh Pate end up causing himself some trouble. All right, so Donald Trump ended up on Josh Pate's show. Now, now let me establish right out of the gate, because I am college football's honesty broker. I'm the man that is going to tell you the truth, even if you don't want to hear it. So here we go. I had no issue with Josh Pate interviewing Donald Trump. Most people would do the same thing. Now, some people have said to me, George, you would absolutely interview him. Yeah, I would. But my questions would have been a little bit different. And now, mind you, this is no disparagement to Josh. It's his college football show. He gets to run it how he so chooses. But my takeaway from it is that, first of all, both of our audiences are largely college football based. And if I were doing an interview, yes, I would have asked some very specific college football questions. But I also could not have ignored Epstein stuff, the Obama thing, birther issue. Like I don't know when I'm gonna get a chance to interview the president again. And that's just me. That's just me. I would have taken a different route. And now Josh's interview is important because people can watch it for one critical reason. He wanted to keep it exclusively to college football. But then when you watch the interview, it didn't even get to the college football part because it got cut short. And the reason why you can't watch that interview and think that, well, actually, I'll state it like this. After watching the interview, I thought the exact same thing I thought before watching the interview, is that I was not under the disillusionment that the president of the United States is going to save college football, or that the president of the United States, Donald Trump, even understands the issues of college football. And truthfully, I don't even want him to be motivated to understand the issues of college football. And a lot of people foolishly believe that the president of the United States, regardless of who it is, this is a bipartisan thing, that he has magic knowledge about everything out in the world. He doesn't. He has knowledge in specific areas, just like everybody else does. A doctor has like a neurosurgeon has doctor, ideals and training and all of this stuff. But he's a specialist in this area. Everybody's a specialist in certain areas. I can talk NBA very well, NFL very well, baseball pretty good, but I'm an expert in college football. That's the difference. Is that, yes, I can talk about all these other things, but the fix for college football shouldn't be coming from the president. It's got to be coming from people below the president who actually fully are experts in it and understand how it works. That was the entire point. You even had in the interview, Donald Trump talked about Nick Saban, who's not coaching anymore, Urban Meyer, who's not coaching anymore. He talked about the NFL kickoff rules, which has nothing to do with college football. He name dropped Gunnar Stockton, who he had already spent time with that week, who's a backup quarterback. He's going to have a great season this year. Then he brought up Herschel Walker, who he endorsed for a losing Senate bid in 2022. He even said that South Carolina was a good team. I guess I thought they were too because I picked them in my college football playoff bracket last year before they went 4-8. But to be fair to Pate, right? Josh said he originally had agreed to a 30-minute interview where he had planned to get specific about NIL, and things changed after he agreed to the interview. But we can't be sure. But we can be sure the more specific that Josh Pate got, the less Trump was going to be able to relate. It's just the truth. This ain't a knock on. This is just a college football issue that we're talking about. And the question is, do you even want your president knowing college football that deep? Now it was fun to watch Obama do the March Madness brackets, but would it actually have been a problem if he was good at it? Yes. The man got other things to worry about. Like, yes, he likes the sport, but I don't want him being too good at it. That means you ain't spending enough time doing the things that that you need to do to help the country out. So I know a lot of people are going to be mad at Josh Pate for doing it. Oh, he exposed what he really believes. He exposed all this stuff. Listen, man. I've talked about this on this show. My experience with Josh Pate, good dude, good human, trying to do the right things. He had a shot to interview the president. He said it was like my college football show didn't even exist 5.5 years ago. And then I get a call from the president's office to be able to talk about it. And this is why it pays and is very important in life. When you have a platform and you've built something really big. I was just talking to my son about this. We went on a long bike ride, a lot of uphills and all this stuff, and we came down very fast. I was like, this is a metaphor for life. You can go up very, very fast. Well, you can go up very, very far, but the road down is very, very fast. And I'm not saying that Josh Pate's on a road down or anything because he's continuing to make good content, but it just shows that. And I learned this when I was coming out in the draft because I was allegedly had character issues, even though I had never been in trouble for the people that I was hanging out with. And I think that it was a very risky choice to do this in the current climate with all the rest of the stuff going on. And you have to make sure that you are not being used for anybody else's gain. Not saying that that's what happened here, but these are all things that you have to evaluate because there's a Drake lyric that is so true. How however long they choose to love you will never be your decision. Just the truth. But that's my take on it. I would have done it. I would have just done it a little bit differently, and there's nothing wrong with that. But we got a lot more to talk about on the show. We are jam packed. You guys swipe up, share with a friend, tell a friend about the show, share. Because we are continuing to grow. We got a new title sponsor. We are announcing on Monday. Boom, big time. And it is because of you guys that the show has grown so much, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. But we got to get to my top 10 coaches list. We're going to bring in the man himself, Mr. Ralph Amsden, who is going to break it down with me. So y'all make sure y'all stay tuned. Keep hopping in the chat. Keep hopping in the comments. And we will get let me hop on y'all comments now and see what y'all got going on. When I was talking about star ratings earlier, I said Curt Cignetti laughs at star ratings, and yeah, all this stuff. So you guys, y'all keep leaving it in there. Keep leaving it in the comments. We got so much, and dang it, I forgot to tell you guys too. So we are going to start doing a reaction segment every week to your comments, to the best comments. So you guys hop below, hop in the chat, leave them. We will examine all of them, and the best ones will make the segment. So y'all don't forget about that. Yeah. So let's get to it because we got to bring in Mr. Ralph Amsden. Now it is top 10 time. This time, this is the top 10 coaches in all of college football. Ralph, I'm releasing the list. Are you ready? It is the question. Are you ready for this? Are you
Never been
nervous?
more ready. Yes, a little bit. Yes.
Okay, here we go. Coming to your screen right now. Boom. Top 10 coaches in college football. Number one, Kirby Smart. Number two, Curt Cignetti. Number three, Kyle Whittingham over there at Michigan. Number 4, Ryan Day at Ohio State. 5, Dan Lanning. 6, Marcus Freeman from Notre Dame. 7, Mario Cristobal from Miami. 8, Dabo Swinney from Clemson. 9, Jeff Brohm from Louisville. I know that people are going to do a double take when they see that one. And number 10, Lane Kiffin. What's your initial reaction to this fantastic list?
Welcome to the party, Curt Cignetti, I guess. He made it quick.
Yeah, it's
He made it to the top of the mountain really quick.
so it's hard to not put him on this list for with the quick with what he did with Indiana. So like it would be different if he had just spent $50 million in the portal and got every, blue chip guy out of the portal. Nah, he built a football team. He took the bad news Bears, the leftover, the land of misfit toys guys, and won a national championship with him. And then when you think about it, he won at James Madison. They could have been in the college football playoff, except for, they could have went to a bowl game, but they weren't allowed to go to a bowl game.
Do you
So,
think Ohio State fans could be any more furious with you than if you would put Kyle Whittingham at number 2, like the fact that it's the Michigan, the M is sitting on top
oh,
of the
I didn't
O,
even.
just stepping on it, and Ryan Day as a natty, and we have Curt Cignetti up at number 2 because he won a natty. So what's the thing in there? Because I'm a huge Kyle Whittingham fan, and I've also bought into some of the narrative that Ryan Day was blessed with quite a toolbox.
Mm-hmm.
But you and I probably both agree Ryan Day's best coaching year was actually last year,
Yes.
following up the national championship. I thought he did an incredible job. But what is your justification for Kyle Whittingham above Ryan Day?
So Kyle Whittingham is above Ryan Day because Kyle Whittingham navigated Utah. Like this is not a one-stop situation. He was not born on third base. He was born in the Mountain West. With he was.
Yeah, the third west of the mountain, third base of the Mountain West, maybe because he had Urban's. He was
Yes,
there before Urban, but he had Urban's squad that
correct.
went undefeated with Alex Smith.
And then he takes that team. They go to the Pac-12, end up a force in the Pac-12, and then they go to the Big Ten. I'm sorry. Then they go to the Big 12, and they're making noise in the Big 12 too. Like he has consistently. You look at what he's produced out of non-blue chip high school recruits, the amount of first round picks, the amount of longtime NFL players, the amount of draft picks, walk-ons, all of this stuff that he developed, winning football games without blue chip talent, competing with the best of the best. You can't knock this. He's created one of the best home environments with the mighty Utah student section, everything there. So yes, I do think that he's done a better job than Ryan Day because he's done more with less.
Now I do
They're just
love
not
that
going to
there's
like the logo. If there were a Utah logo, he would still be sitting there.
so, and then what's funny is like any Ohio State fan that's accusing you of being a hater, Ryan Day's sitting on top of your coach, Dan Lanning.
Thank you.
And they're 1-1 against each other, right? The thing about Dan Lanning is every game that he's lost in the last 3 seasons has been to a national champion or national championship participant. So he been the third best guy for the last 3 years. I think that's deserving. Here's a question because I know you're a big Dabo guy. We'll get to Jeff Brohm here in a second. Dabo, obviously, his resume, which he touts off
Yes.
the dome pretty well. Dabo's resume has him belonging on this list, but you look at the recruiting rankings, you're starting to see 2020, 2021, top 5 classes, but now they're back down in the range where they used to be in the mid 20s. But they're using the
That's where he's
portal a little
comfortable.
bit too.
That's where he's
So,
comfortable. back
so you're saying
back
he's back
back
getting the
home.
players he likes. Okay.
Well, see, okay. So with Dabo Swinney, his resume says that he should be top 1 or 2. He's got 2 national championships. He's graduating like 96, 98% of his players. They're constantly in the college football playoff. They won the ACC so many times, all of that stuff. The reason why he's down lower is because this past season and then even the season before, you have wondered if he is adaptable to the current state of college football. I believe that he is going to, that he looked in the mirror this season, looked in the faces of all his coaches and was like, we got to make some changes. So I got to make some changes. So hopefully we get a chance to interview Dabo this offseason because I'm sure go ask him that what's going to be different. Because we do what we do, but I also think that the game is, if he doesn't have at least a 9-win year this year, the game's past the game's moving in the wrong direction from him. He's going against traffic instead of with traffic.
So the Jeff Brohm thing, because that's what people are going to mention, I think, when they look at maybe some omissions from your list. I'm a big believer that if you're just rolling 11 guys out there on offense and they're random and they meet their head coach on that same day, that Jeff Brohm is one of the best coaches in college football. And I think he's proven it. He's the best coach Western Kentucky has ever had.
Yep.
He took Purdue to a bowl game for the first time, or he made them ranked for the first
Yes.
time, I believe, in 14 years, back in 2021. And his run of quarterbacks, the last 4 quarterbacks he's had, Aiden O'Connell, Jack Plummer, Tyler Shuck, Miller Moss, I thought he's done a fantastic job with. I'm high on Lincoln Kienholz just because he's going to be coached by Jeff Brohm, and Jeff Brohm is at that point where he can kind of pick anybody. Explain why you have a guy like Jeff Brohm on here and not a national championship participant like Sonny Dykes or a Kalen DeBoer.
Um, because Jeff Brohm continuously does it, and he's not at, he's not at a school where he is. Granted, Louisville does have resources, but granted, they got to split some of these resources with basketball at Louisville, and he just continues to put out winners, dude. And he's done it at multiple stops at Western Kentucky, at Purdue, at Louisville. Those things matter. And you can't sit up here and try because he is not playing for a national championship. That would be like omitting Kyle Whittingham from the list. And some of them other dudes have had some duds. Sonny Dykes got fired at Cal. And that doesn't mean he's not a good coach, but Jeff Brohm may had them problems. And even Lincoln Riley, born on third base in Oklahoma, trying to rebuild it at USC. He ain't got back to that level yet. Sorry. And this is part longevity. It matters. And that's why a guy like Jeff Brohm is above Lane Kiffin, despite Lane Kiffin's, at times success. He just continues to blow up things around him. So, that's why.
I think it'll make for some interesting debate. I mean, I think I could glean one thing just from knowing you, but the list also tells us not an air raid guy. You're not a as far as guys calling their own offenses. I don't even think Lane Kiffin is one of those.
No,
He brought his OC with him.
correct.
He great offensive system, incredibly player friendly system. But Lane is a guy who uses the portal. He is adaptable.
Yep.
Lane is nothing if not adaptable. He'll make his own situation uncomfortable just so that he can adapt.
To show how much he can adapt. Dude, and so some people are gonna be upset with Sark not being on here, Kalen DeBoer not being on here, and Sark has gotten fired twice. Well, no, I'm sorry, once. He left Washington after a lot of 7-6. He was nicknamed 7-win Sark. And then goes down to USC, gets fired at USC. He's doing a good job at Texas, but where are we at right now? Like he's doing a
Well,
good job, but
does it surprise you that Steve Sarkisian actually has a better winning percentage at Texas than Lincoln Riley does at USC?
no, that doesn't surprise me because I've been watching USC, but I would have thought that he would have gotten it going a little bit better at USC faster, but now I've figured out he had to learn how to build something. He didn't know how to build anything. And the guy that we're and the two guys that we've kind of ignored on this list a little bit are Dan Lanning, Marcus Freeman, and Mario Cristobal. Like these are the three coaches, the three up and coming coaches who we have to look at and say who's going to be the next to win a national championship.
Well, they're top five coaches in America if you just go by what you call the lifeblood of college football, which is recruiting.
Yep.
I
That's
trust if I had to go out and get one player, those three names that you just give me, I trust them with my life. Marcus Freeman out recruited the ACC and Big 12 for 5 stars last year. He has five. They have three combined. Dan Lanning has kept Oregon uh, relevant and turned them into what looks like an SEC roster up front. And then we got the king of the castle, Kirby Smart. You got anything you want to say about the king and
dude,
why he's the
Kirby
king?
is the king, bro. How can you talk about a list of the best coaches without putting Kirby Smart back to back national championships 5 and 4 years ago? And he's continuously in the playoffs. Only missed the playoffs one year. There's nothing you can say about him and what he's doing. But Ralph, man, appreciate you coming in, breaking it down for us. And you know, there's more to talk about this. But yeah, appreciate you, Ralph. All right. So now back to this list, right? We got the top coaches in college football list. You guys can leave down in the comments who you feel is left off this list, who should be on this list. Make sure that you guys subscribe, tell a friend about the show, and most importantly, share because this is college football's best show around, one of the fastest growing shows in all of YouTube. So y'all make sure that y'all share. Now, Lane Kiffin. I was trying to think, and people look at Oregon. They're like, "Oh, you talk so much about Oregon, this and that." So Dan Lanning was the line that I used to determine who should be above and who should be below him on the list. If Dan Lanning had won last year's national championship, he would be number 2 on this list probably because he only has one national championship. But I couldn't put Ryan Day below Dan Lanning. Why? It's clear and it's obvious. He's got a national championship. He beat them up pretty bad last year. And they're both very heavily resourced. So it's not like it's an unfair fight. Like when Ryan Day got a chance to play against Kyle Whittingham in the Rose Bowl, that was not a fair fight. So Kyle Whittingham can still be considered better than Ryan Day. Kyle Whittingham, he's above Dan Lanning. This is sheerly longevity and development because Dan Lanning is sending an absurd amount of players to the NFL right now, more than Oregon has at any point in time in terms of the higher draft picks. So, I looked at that. I'm like, huh. And Kyle Whittingham's longevity wins out there because he's done it at Utah for so long. And I know that Notre Dame fans are going to be looking at this list saying, wait. Marcus Freeman? You did Marcus Freeman like this? Nah, I'm a believer in Marcus Freeman. Like there's Dan Lanning, Marcus Freeman, and then there are the coaches because these two guys are honestly, I believe, better tacticians than the people below them. Mario Cristobal is obviously a very good coach, just played in the national championship game. This is no disparagement to him because if you're one of the top 10 coaches, that makes you elite. So, and if you're on the fringe of this list too, there's no disparagement. It just is what it is. Get your game up a little bit more. And as college football's truth teller, I got to give you the truth. And Lane Kiffin, everybody knows how I feel about Lane. I think he's selfish. I think he's all these things, but you cannot deny what he's done at Ole Miss, building up that program. but what he's done in the transfer portal, what he's done at other stops. He's a highly successful coach, and he just got a team in Ole Miss to the college football playoff, even though that he abandoned them. So that's what it is. But now we got to get on to other things. And you guys like, share, subscribe, tell a friend about the show. All right, next thing we got to talk about is Danny White, Tennessee athletic director, has finally, somebody has come out and said what I have been screaming from the top of my lungs about for months and even years about the fix for college football and who is not in on it and who really wants to be in on it. So, and by that I mean this. So, Danny White, he came out and responded to the NCAA president, Charlie Baker. He was asked about collective bargaining, how to fix college football, and Charlie Baker's response was, well, we could maybe have collective bargaining, but it's so far away from the players don't really want it. All right. As that meme goes, bullshit, bullshit. That's exactly what it is. It is a bunch of crapola and Danny White actually went on to talk about this extensively because it doesn't make sense why players wouldn't want collective bargaining. It makes all the sense in the world. And because it is the only way to fix things. Collective bargaining will allow the players to negotiate with one entity, not the SEC, not the Big Ten, not the NCAA. And that's why they don't want it. That's why they don't want it. Because the MLB, NBA, NHL, NFL all have uh, unions for the players, and they negotiate with the league about the rules that they play under. They negotiate the salary cap, how it's calculated, how what happens with healthcare, what happens with when players get suspended, who has trouble, or the organizations get caught cheating like the Patriots did or something. Who punishes them? And it creates all the rules of eligibility, when you can sign players, when you can transfer, all of these things. That's what college football needs. Then you won't have these silly lawsuits all over the place about one-off circumstances. The rules will be the rules. And you won't have a player like Darian Mensah leaving Duke under contract to go to Miami. Unless there's a buyout in there, there will be parameters around all of these things. The reason why the Big Ten, SEC, ACC, and the NCAA don't want it is because they lose power. Because then whoever's above them, the College Sports Commission, whatever that entity is that they're negotiating with, they then take all the power. And those are the people that so then you will have negotiating rules about the college football playoff, when the season has to start and finish, NIL, the regulations surrounding it, and this will be public information, which will then control the market. And then you won't have Learfield and Adidas and all these other companies circumventing the salary cap, and that will create the parity that college football needs. Everybody will then have hope. Rutgers will have the same hope as Indiana, who overcame the mountaintop as the most losing college football program of all time, to become national champions. That's what you need. So you had Danny White, and I'm going to quote what he said. He said, first, you don't need to get a federal law passed to build a collective bargaining structure to save college sports. It's actually the only solution that we have that doesn't involve asking Congress to give us a pass on the Sherman Act, which is not going to happen, which we talked about earlier with the Josh Pate situation interviewing the President Trump. The government's not coming to save you, and they can't. The getting a blanket antitrust exemption so the NCAA can make arbitrary rules without negotiating with anybody, that's never going to hold up in court anyway. That's why it's the only way. And then Danny White goes on. Second, nobody has said collective bargaining would be simple. Exactly. There are no simple solutions to this problem. Clearly, asking Congress to save us has not proven to be a simple solution. And then third, not pursuing all avenues to solve our dysfunctional system is negligent. Amen, Danny White. And then you can actually have enforcement. That's the issue as well. There is no enforcement. So people are just like, we'll do what we want to do. Who's going to say otherwise? Who's going to investigate it? Nobody's going to tell. And nobody is there to punish us. We got to always pay attention to the money and who doesn't want things to happen. And it is clear who doesn't want collective bargaining, who doesn't want that. It is the powers that be because they want to remain in power. This is no different than what goes on in politics and anything else. This is a political issue, a political sports issue. And the resolution, it is obvious, however, not simple to implement because obviously there's what happens with JUCOs. How are those going to be calculated? Well, if you want to play Division I football, you have to sign on to be a part of this union, and that's it. And the rules are stated. So you either fight it beforehand or you sign it and then you play under whatever the rules are. And yes, you may need a separate CBA for Division II and Division III, which operate under different scholarship rules, FCS, all of that. Yes, there's not a simple solution, but there is. But like Danny White said, it is negligent not to do that. And there have been a lot of people who have pushed back on me. They're like, George, you can't do collective bargaining. It's not. I'm not the only one telling you now. You have a bunch of smart people out in the world telling you that this is the only option forward. I just so happen to be the first one to tell you. Because I sit in with head coaches. I sit in with general managers. I sit in with the business people out in the world. I'm a part of the NFL Players Association. I understand how all of this works. But, or you can keep trying to do it your way, and it ain't going to work. Just the facts. Now, before we get out of here, man, I got to talk to you about the best thing that I saw on Bill Gates' internet is, man, Kirby Smart and Mario Cristobal going back and forth at the Steve Spurrier event, I believe it was, in Gainesville. Bottle this up, put it on television, the top 10 coaches getting up there and roasting each other. This was absolutely awesome. And honestly, it will warm your heart. And if you're a college football fan, it will just make you happy to all get out. And so here's Kirby Smart up there on the microphone. Because when I first saw it, I was like, dang, they going at each other pretty hard. But then Mario Cristobal rebuttals and shots at John Summerall. My God, I wish Dan Lanning was there. I wanted Ryan Day to be there. I wanted, oh my gosh, I wanted all of them there.
That's all right. They deserve it. Mario's right behind him, and if it had been up to him, he would have paid a lot more NIL money because it came down to us too. So I don't like you being real close to Mario right now. You know what I'm saying? He's still got another year left. Got to be careful around Mario. Sometimes he'll take your players, if you know what I mean. But no, I'm just kidding. It's all right. I was talking to Mario earlier, and he came up to me, and he gave me a Lane Kiffin joke. And he and Lane are very similar in a lot of ways. They're like best friends. And he came up to me, he's like, you ought to start getting on some protein shakes. You've had too many carbs. And I said, well, you probably ought to spend some time with Steve Spurrier because he won more conference championships at Duke than you have in Miami. So Coach Spurrier and him got to visit some. I don't know why you're over here laughing too now.
It is. I'll tell you what, the first thing is it's a great piece right there to watch what a player like Carson Beck could do with great coaching. You know what I mean? No, seriously, let's give it up for Kirby Smart. Let's give it up for Kirby Smart. I mean, if it wasn't for all his years of pre-NIL, we wouldn't have NIL right now. But, Have you reached the body yet? I don't know. Robinson.
If that ain't fun, if that ain't what college football is about, man, these dudes are making $10 million or more each. And they can take shots at each other, so they should be able to take it. Man, bottle this up and put it on television. Like, imagine at the end of the season, coaches have this thing and they sit around, roast each other, everything. That would be excellent content. Maybe I should produce it. But you guys, though, man, I appreciate you guys joining the show. Make sure that you guys like, share, subscribe, get notifications, tell a friend about the show, and most importantly, share and subscribe. And holler at our boys over there at Underdog, man.